What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. This is going to be my first video that I post, and I just wanted to share my story, my experiences, really with my current situation in life. I am 26 years old with no plan for the future, very minimal direction, if any, and I feel like I'm just failing. Just feel like I'm failing in life. So I'm going to take you through really my life story quickly, and then we're going to get to kind of where I am now and what I'm thinking about in terms of the economy and in terms of everything like that. I graduated high school at age 17, and I was the valedictorian at my high school. And on the surface, you might think that's a great accomplishment, right? But that really hasn't done anything long term to improve my life. Like, at the end of the day, the only thing I can really say about that is, besides it maybe saving me a few $1,000s during my college years, it really just made me prove to myself that I could accomplish something great when I wholeheartedly commit to it and put all my effort into that basket, right? But I did that, and I did what the advice was back in 2017, and I went to college. And I went to a college that I felt like I could get the most out of, and I also had the plan to graduate a year early. So I did that with a bachelor's degree in accounting and sport management, and I got my bachelor's degree in 2020. I did a bunch of things along the way to really make it as cheap as I possibly could, including being an RA for a free room for a year. I worked during the summers. I was waterfront director, lifeguard. Back in the day, I did that at a summer camp in a lake. I was a substitute teacher during all the breaks, so Thanksgiving break, Christmas break. I really just chose not to enjoy myself a lot of the time in order to help finance my college, because I was so averse, even at that young age, to loans. I never wanted to get into personal loans. I've seen what that had done to other families at a young age and their crippling financial situation. I hope to this day they're doing okay now, especially in this economy, right? But that was always something I was cognizant of. I did 3 sports in college. I was heavily involved on campus, and it was overall a great experience. I got an accounting job in 2020. I was making a decent salary at the time for what I thought, right? $50,000. And at that young, you got to think, oh, you've basically made it. Like, you could pay your own bills. I was able to get my own place during that duration of the employment. But it was the most soul-sucking, like, true, terrible period of my life, I think. It was COVID coming off of that, so everybody was isolated still. I was working from home, doing, like, spreadsheets all day and talking to people that just weren't happy to talk to me on phone calls, right? And you get that feeling when you're in a situation like that you're just not supposed to be there, and you feel uncomfortable. So I had to leave. So I left that job, and my plan was pretty simple. It was to get down to Charleston, South Carolina, and kind of just try to build my life from there. I went door to door, basically, once I got down there, and talk to employers, trying to literally hand them a hard copy of my resume. I was an ambitious young person, and I eventually got hired. I became a host at a restaurant. I worked at this, like, lemonade stand also, right in the middle of downtown Charleston. You know, it's not the most flashy work, but I was supporting myself for a little bit doing that. But ultimately, I left Charleston because I just couldn't get anything lined up career-wise. And it was a tough period. It was a period where I was kind of on my own. I tried to make some friends here and there. A lot of people there just wanted to kind of go out and do that kind of scene. And I don't know, I just couldn't really plant my roots there. I ended up moving back up north where I grew up, and I worked for like a cleaning sanitation company for a year, doing some work there, putting some money away, and then I ultimately went to professional wrestling school to chase that dream. It's always been a big, passion of mine, and now in 2026, the industry has for sure changed a lot with that as well, but I don't regret that decision one bit. I mean, I invested in myself. I spent thousands on that school, and that was another instance where I proved to myself. I was the main event match of my graduation for wrestling school, and I thought my character work was excellent. I thought for someone so new in the business, I was able to improve rapidly, and again, with that, money became just an obstacle for me. I invested in myself. I was struggling to really keep up with the cost to be there for that. Because unless you're really contracted with professional wrestling, it's pretty hard to make money. You have to supplement it with other incomes. A lot of people on my level at the time were like serving, doing that kind of work. And after doing that, towards the end, I took a job as an admissions counselor for a college. And this is 2023 now. So I stuck with that for quite some time. I did it from early 2023 through late 2025. And I got promoted twice in this span. However, it got to a point where I was wishing I was back when I started. The first year was pretty awesome doing that. I wasn't making the most money, but I was in an okay financial situation. I was able to, put some money away. They were sending me on fun trips to areas that I personally enjoyed to do some recruiting for the school. And I just felt really confident in my level of performance and my ability in that role. But eventually I got promoted to a level where the fun kind of went away, and I feel like in my heart I got taken advantage of quite a bit. Like, I got sent to areas that really nobody else was willing to go to. I've always been comfortable doing stuff like that, but it got to a point where it's like, okay, I was driving 16 plus hours for just like a day or two of events and coming back. Right after that, I worked like 11 weekends in a row, and I understand there's probably people in like worse situations than this, but I just felt like I was fully being taken advantage of. I was doing the most work on the team by a mile, truthfully, and I was probably making less than a few people that really kind of been there for a while and just weren't really doing anything. And I was making slightly more than some people that were doing probably 25% of the work that I was doing, just to be honest. But I ultimately just was so unhappy towards the mid to late part of 2025 that I decided to just leave. I had no plan. I had no other school I wanted to hop to. I told myself, thankfully I was diligent with my saving for that tenure to avoid disaster pretty much no matter what. But I told myself I was just going to take time and be with my family, be with my friends. It was the holiday season, and I just wanted to enjoy that whole period, right? Now we kind of get closer to present day, and with making that decision, there were a lot of things that I didn't necessarily foresee that have occurred. My relationship with faith has changed. I have also been a part of a few tragic passings in recent months. And the big thing, too, with me is I guess I underestimated how bad the job market is right now for a lot of people. I'm going to make a separate video on this, but with that, I have just really, really struggled to find something that can get me excited. And it's honestly just been a wild time to get an offer letter. Like, it takes forever. I've done plenty of interviews by now. It truly is just a soul-crushing thing to have to do. I've probably invested legitimately days of my life on just applications that have led to nowhere. So it's been humbling to an extent, but it's also proved to me that I have to think outside the box and get creative. I mean, I've had so much time to reflect and look at what's happening in the United States and the world right now, and it's changing, and it's changing rapidly. And I'm growing up through this. I'm hitting my peak years through this change, and I've seen what AI and those changes have done to families and the job market and the labor market. It's not a great time at all to be a white-collar working professional. And so kind of to get back to like the part of this video where I titled it, it's like no plan. I really don't know what to do. I've thought in my mind, okay, I can do restaurant work. They make good money, of course, but I'm going to be hustling. That really ties me to an area, and it's just, I know it's just not what I'm meant to be doing in life. I thought maybe I could go like blue collar, become like a plumber. And then I thought about that too, and it's just like, they make fantastic money. I mean, I love the work they do for society and everything, but I know myself, and it's just going to be hard for me, I think, to want to get up out of bed and work on faucets and toilets every day, honestly. Like, and I'm at the point, after telling you guys my story, like, I've reset so many times, it's hard to find the strength to really do that right now. But I feel like I have to. And the other part of the equation is I've been essentially unemployed for so long now at this point that I've really seen how it's affected my relationships and how people perceive me. And you could say you shouldn't really think about that, but it does just hit you, and it's noticeable. It's noticeable to me. And it sucks that, you're tied to the perception of you as an employee and how much output you give and productivity by a lot of people on this planet. That's the society that's been developed. And if you try to stray away from that, or if you try to do something different, you're going to face that kind of ridicule. You're going to face that kind of worry, negativity, because people, at the end of the day, people don't really want you to do something like legendary, because they may have their own insecurities about their life, what they've settled into. And I keep telling myself, like, the worst thing that can come out of this is I just work a job, a blue collar job or something, where I work with my hands maybe, and I do what a lot of other people are doing. So I don't necessarily have a plan. I'm gonna kind of just use this as a video diary and express my thoughts, because I have a lot to share. Various stories about my life, various stories about just what I've seen, and hopefully I can be of help to people. But it's been brutal. And another thing I want to mention here towards the end is I've seen a lot of people just on the streets. And you could say, all right, well, it's not everywhere. My development doesn't have that. But as someone who's traveled as much as I have in the last 3-4 years, and someone who goes back to places that they've seen a few years prior, it's getting noticeably worse in a lot of areas, in my opinion. And rightfully so. I mean, if you have so many young people struggling to get entry-level jobs, where, let's be honest, the pay with those entry-level jobs can't supplement a full slate of bills for these young people like it could in the past, of course people are going to fall on hard times. And then you have the AI job cuts for a lot of families. You have just the wage to expense gap just growing every single day. The middle class, if you thought it was squeezed before, it's getting really squeezed now, squeezed to nothing. And it's scary times, and a lot of people are kind of just, hanging on to their jobs, and they don't want to ruffle too many feathers, because there are bills. Bills are a reality. I totally understand that. It's just, it sucks that it's come to this. It sucks that people have to feel this way. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's only going to get worse. I have no reason to believe it's going to get better. And I'm not going to mope about it. I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I just have to put in the work to better myself, put myself in the best possible position to hopefully capitalize as I enter my 30s. And the dream was kind of told to a lot of people the 20s would be the best years of your life. I don't think that's necessarily the case, and I don't think that's good advice to really listen to. I think 20s could be an opportunity to really learn a lot and try things out with really minimal downside. I mean, it's only going to get harder. Like, if I was 36 having the same conversation with the camera right now, I'd feel a lot differently, for sure. But I got to trust that it's all going to work out in the end. And if you're feeling similar, if you've kind of enjoyed this talk, feel free to support the channel. I want to get back going with this and hopefully grow a community where we can all help each other and strive to live the best lives possible with today's environment. So thank you for watching.